Hi, this is Vincent Hammer from Exocad, another little unofficial video to show you some of the options you have now with auto relief in expert mode in the soon upcoming Partial CAD Galway release. So one thing that we've changed is that you have the ability to apply the relief and it'll apply the relief to blockout. So instead of applying the relief as it's finishing the save for build step and applying an offset to the mesh and exporting it, you can see the auto relief applied to blockout, and then you can go in and change it if you like. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, the settings here are a little bit are non-default settings. So we're actually applying an offset under the clasp areas. And well, the connector, everything else is more standard. Okay, so for starters, let's apply the relief and see what happens. Okay, so you can't see it, but I've added blockout mode to several of the tools, including the measure tool. So if we go into measure tool and we do measure blockout, we can now see the blockout that was added here. We can see that the connector margin here, so it's touching around the edge of the major connector. And we can also see the bit of offset that we applied under the clasps. Now, here is our little interesting thing with this case here. So we have decided to use the major connector to make this offset over this scanned attachment area. And that's actually a pretty clever thing to do. It's very quick to do it that way, and you also get a nice offset over this area with the major connector. You could do this with clone, but then you have to sort of smooth it out a little bit. So a major connector is a good option. You have to watch out with some of these sharp curves in the fall off, but in this case it works really nicely. And you definitely don't want the same offset over this attachment as you want for your major connector. So what is the quick way to fix this? So the thing always to keep in mind with auto relief is it is based on the tools that you use. It doesn't try to interpret what you did, right? If you drew your major connector over this area, it uses this major connector curve to decide what is under the major connector. So why don't we just trick it? Why don't we go back and in settings, and let's just undo this auto relief. So I've added undo and redo in auto relief so that if you go through other tools to make some modifications and stuff, you can just do all of those undos and redos in just one step. So this undoes everything to the last auto relief. So let's go back, look at the measure tool, make sure it's all gone, which it should be. And yes, indeed, the auto relief is gone. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just change the curve. So we're going to edit edit the major connector curve. And I'm actually going to refit it, make it, this is the fit to refractory. And now we're going to just modify the major connector curve like that. Okay. So this whole area will no longer be seen as being under the major connector. So now if we go to relief, so these are there's curves underneath here, right? So the clasp curves. So this is identified as a clasp area. And this is now not going to be identified as anything at all, so it's going to fall under other. So we'll turn down the dynamic relief and we'll just do 15 micron offset under this whole area here. All right, so let's see how that works out. All right, so we'll go back to the measure tool, measure blockout, and now we should see a 15 micron offset underneath here, which is what we're getting, right? So just a very slight offset in here. And then this area is all other as well. And then so we keep our offset here, and then it fades over into the major connector touching the lip. All right, so now the other thing that this designer wants is he wants this offset under his clasp, but he doesn't want them under the clasp rests. So let's just go and remove that. That's very easy. We will just, we could use smudge here as well. It's probably a pretty good idea to use smooth if you actually, depending on what you want, you can also do that to maybe just the top of the clasp, smooth it down a little bit. Oh, that was a little bit too much. Let's undo that. There we go. Let's make it a little bit less, oops, a little bit less aggressive. I'm not sure if this is what he wants, but this is another option. You have the ability to sort of fade it in and have it just touching on the top, right? If you do something like this. Okay. Oh yes, another thing I wanted to mention. So if you have applied relief, it will automatically turn on this fill removed blockout with wax. Let me quick explain that for you. So let's say we have some blockout, and we have some wax, and let's say that you went in and you added a little bit of blockout, like with the auto relief, right? So it basically turns into that. Now let's say you went into edit blockout, and now you just remove an area of the blockout. Now if you don't have this on, fill removed with blockout, you're going to end up with a gap between your wax and your blockout, right? Because you just edited the blockout, but the wax doesn't know that, right? So now your wax just remains as it was before, and you end up with this odd gap in there. Now the solution to that is to say fill removed blockout with wax, and then as you're removing blockout, it automatically patches that up and fills it with wax so that you get this, right? So it happens automatically. I just want to make sure that you're aware of it and that you also understand why we have this option here. It's basically a little bit tricky to be removing blockout and not adding wax at the same time. But with this, it's done for you automatically. Okay, so now we can go here and we can basically do save for build, and we're done. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you with this video. Thank you very much.